Okay, welcome everybody. It is 1:01 and November the 15th, and I would like to call the council meeting for the Township of Muskoka Lakes to order. I would like to confirm that we have quorum present, either in person or online by Zoom. We are missing one councillor who I believe will be returning shortly. The member absent, I guess we need to confirm, is Councillor Nishikawa. Is not here right now, but I know she's not left the building. She'll be back here in a minute or two. I would also confirm that the CAO, the deputy clerk, and other members of the senior management team and our staff are present. And I would ask that you acknowledge that we are on lands traditionally occupied by Indigenous peoples. Indigenous peoples have cared for this territory for the benefit of future generations, and their stewardship throughout the ages is recognized. I also would like to point out, by way of the public notice that we had posted, that today's meeting is being live streamed and recorded on the Township of Muskoka Lakes website and its YouTube channel. And by participating in the open public meeting today, you're consenting to your image, your voice, and your comments being recorded and posted online. Public input on this agenda was invited at TML public comment at muskokalakes.ca. And at this point in time, we have received one piece of correspondence to note, and that is an inbound, I believe, email from Al Moran regarding item 11.A.2, the parking bylaw discussion that we will be having a little bit later on. Would also like to notice or make note that we have received or have created a supplementary agenda. The supplementary agenda was added, I believe, earlier this morning to add basically two new matters. Number one was under 11.B.5, comments from Scott Hutchison, Henein Hutchison, Robitaille, LLP, report plan -2023-173, ZBA-26/22, bylaw 2022-094, Evans, part 6, plan 35R-14682, and part 1, plan 35R-22258, Medora, roll number 4-25-024-06. Second item added is under item 8C, consideration of a resolution regarding the sustainable funding for Hospice Muskoka. So before we get to the beginning here, I'm going to ask whether anybody present on council has got any pecuniary interest in any of the matters that come up on the agenda. I'm seeing none, and then I will note that I do have one. And I'm going to ask that the consent agenda, the October 23 minutes of the GNF committee meeting, specifically item 8B, be pulled out and considered separately. I have a conflict was declared in the General and Finance Committee meeting on October the 11th, and the conflict obviously continues. So I am not going to participate in the approval of that item and the ratification by council. I will step out, and our deputy mayor will take over in the chair for hopefully just a few minutes. Okay. All right. So we'll turn to the main part of the agenda. And I'm going to, and it is the consent agenda, and it is consideration of a resolution to approve the following minutes and action items. So I have a resolution. This is where I'm going to start with this one. Yes.
That's perfect.
This is the resolution for everything that before we cut out the one specific one, which will be considered separately. Moved by Councillor Roberts, seconded by Councillor Bosenworth. Be it resolved that the mayor and council adopt and enact the following minutes and recommendations contained in the October 11, 2023 consent agenda, and direct staff to proceed with all necessary administrative actions. 1, October 11, 2023 general finance minutes and action items 1 to 2 and 4 to 7. October 11, 2023 council minutes Number 3, October 12, 2023, Planning Committee minutes and action items 1 through 12. And number 4, the November 1, 2023, Special General Finance minutes and action items 2 through 10. Any discussion on those? I'll call the question. All in favor? That carries. Thank you very much. Let me get a pen.
You don't have to come over, but you're welcome.
Have it. And I was on the move. Okay. Okay, thank you. So moved by Councillor Roberts, seconded by Councillor Bosenworth. Be it resolved that the mayor and council adopt and enact the following minutes and recommendations contained in the October 11th, 2023 consent agenda and direct staff to proceed with all necessary administrative actions. 1, October 11th, 2023, general finance action item number 3. All those in favor? Okay, thank you. That's carried.
Thanks. Bill?
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, next up, we have new business, consideration of a draft resolution. I'll just read it. It's the adoption of Bill 73, supporting Ontario's Community, Rural and Agricultural Newspapers Act 2023. I have that's okay. I have a draft resolution. Whoa. But sit down. It's a while. All right. We're going to read the resolution and then we can have some discussion or questions. Moved by Councillor Edwards, seconded by Councillor McIntyre. Whereas in September 2023, Metroland Media Group announced it would be moving to a digital-only format for many local newspapers, including the Bracebridge Examiner and the Gravenhurst Banner. And whereas to address legal notice requirements as outlined in provisions of various provincial acts and regulations, including the Planning Act, RSO 1990, C.P.13, notice must be provided by ordinary mail or by publishing a notice in a newspaper that would give the public reasonable notice. And whereas, as a result of the announcement, the Township of Muskoka Lakes no longer has a local print format newspaper available to use for public notification purposes. And whereas Bill 73, titled Supporting Ontario's Community, Rural and Agricultural Newspapers Act 2023, currently before the Standing Committee on Heritage Infrastructure and Cultural Policy, proposes amendments to various acts to allow legal notice requirements to be addressed in a newspaper published with alternate frequency. And whereas providing notice in a non-local newspaper would not reach local citizens, and whereas it would be cost prohibitive for the municipality to consistently have to circulate notice via ordinary mail for matters with township-wide effect. And whereas the Township of Muskoka Lakes already provides notice in many circumstances on the township's website, and whereas with no other local print newspaper option, it would be deemed prudent to allow an additional option of providing notice on a municipality's website or through a digital format newspaper. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Township of Muskoka Lakes calls upon the provincial government to adopt Bill 73 with amendments as necessary to include a definition of newspaper in the acts listed therein to either a digital or print format. And further, that the resolution be forwarded to the Honourable Paul Calandra, MPP, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, the Honourable Graydon Smith, MPP, Parry Sound, Muskoka, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, and Muskoka area municipalities. Anybody need to hear that again? Anybody have any discussion? Any feedback? All right, I will, seeing none, call the vote. All in favor? That carries. Thank you very much. All right. we are on, item, is that 8B? 8B, consideration of a draft resolution regarding the special scheduling of the meetings for the month of January. I will read the resolution, then we can have a conversation if we need. Moved by Councillor Zavitz, seconded by Councillor Nishikawa. Whereas Township Policy C-GG-14, Council and Standing Committee Meeting Schedule, states that regular meetings of General Finance Committee, Committee of Adjustment, Planning Committee, and Council are to be held on the second complete week of each month. And whereas due to the 2023 holiday season, holding the meetings on the second complete week of January 2024 would only allow for 3 days of preparation prior to posting of the agendas. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the January 2024 meetings be scheduled on the third complete week as follows. Number 1, Committee of Adjustment to be held on Monday, January 15 at 9 a.m. 2, General and Finance Committee to be held on Tuesday, January the 16th at 9 a.m. 3, Council to be held on Tuesday, January the 16th at 1 p.m. And 4, Planning Committee to be held on Friday, January the 19th at 9 a.m. And that Policy C-GG-14, Council and Standing Committee Meeting Schedule be amended to incorporate this schedule going forward. Okay. Anybody with any conversation? Councilor Nishikawa.
I'm sorry, I just don't, is district not on the Monday?
To my knowledge, district has not amended its schedule. I haven't seen it change, so I suspect that it is on that same day.
So we would then have to have an alternate if Councillor Edwards is at Committee of Adjustment?
I'm sorry,
You're just saying that the Committee of Adjustment would be held the same day as District Council. It's at 1 o'clock. I can probably be there for 1 o'clock or shortly thereafter.
okay, fair enough. Councilor Nishikawa, have you looked later on in the week? What does the Tuesday was?
I'm not anything else. I just want a full slate of councillors at district when we attend district.
Okay, that's fair.
I believe she's run that by the clerk.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? I read the resolution. I see nobody else with their hand up. I'll call the question. All in favor? That carries. Thank you very much. This, the resolution that we're going to read is the Hospice Muskoka. Yes. Okay. All right. Moved by, I'm going to read a resolution and we can discuss it as well. Moved by Councillor Kent, seconded by Councillor McIntyre. Whereas Hospice Muskoka has provided palliative and end-of-life support to residents of South and West Muskoka since 1995. And whereas Hospice Muskoka in 2020 opened Andy's House to provide palliative care in a home-like setting for residents and families of Southwest Muskoka. And whereas Hospice Muskoka currently offers 3 end-of-life rooms and has a comprehensive plan to add 5 palliative respite rooms and a pediatric care room to provide needed support for the community served. And whereas Hospice Muskoka's proposal to the Ministry of Health for funding to support the 5 palliative respite beds and enhanced community hospice services to support the people of Muskoka was not successful. And whereas the Muskoka region has 8.5% more seniors over the age of 65 than the provincial average, resulting in greater demand for palliative care. And whereas the need for palliative and end-of-life care is imperative to preserve acute care capacity while ensuring specialized support is available to Muskokans at a reduced cost. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Mayor P. Kelley write to the Premier of Ontario and Minister of Health to strongly urge the province to support the provision of sustainable funding for Hospice Muskoka on a priority basis. And that this resolution, along with the letter from the mayor advocating the importance of the services provided by Hospice Muskoka, be circulated to the Honourable Premier of Ontario, the Minister of Health, the local member of provincial parliament, the chiefs of the Wata Mohawk and Moose Deer Point First Nations, and all Muskoka municipalities requesting their support. And that staff work with the district municipality of Muskoka in preparation for their delegation with the Minister of Health at the Association of Municipalities of Ontario conference being held in 2024 to advocate for additional funding for Hospice Muskoka if the need continues to be unmet. Okay, anybody with any questions? Anybody with any comment? I'm seeing none, then I will call the question. All in favor? That's great. Thank you. That carries. Oh.
Library is just.
Where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay. It's just FYI.
Mhm.
Okay, included with the package were the minutes from the September 11, 2023 meeting of the Public Library Board. The minutes and the report from the CEO were attached. I hope everybody's had a chance to look at it. There's no resolution, just simply an FYI. All right. Next, we're going to call upon the manager of Parks, Recreation and Facilities and the ECDev officer to talk to us about the electric vehicle charging station solutions. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. Good afternoon, Council. As Council will recall, recently we approved providing a letter of intent to Lakeland Solutions for a federal funding program for EV infrastructure. Since that time, the province has also launched a new funding program. Lakeland Networks is attempting to submit an application to that program as well, and is just looking for our support in an amendment to that letter of intent.
Thank you for that. Anyone have any questions of, yes, Councilor Nishikawa.
Has the discussion, sorry, through you to Speaker, has the discussion happened about the location yet? A location, specific location, I guess.
Go ahead, Mr. Moore.
Yes, through you, Chair. There was previous reports that discussed some possible solutions for both Bala and Port Carling, but nothing's been finalized at this point. Once we see the results of these funding applications, we'll then entertain those discussions further.
Thank you. Anybody else with any other, Councilor Bosenworth?
Thank you, Your Worship. I don't remember in the presentation whether they were going to be supplying 400-volt chargers or not. In my recent trip to England, I found that you could get charging stations coming out of the side of lampposts and along the public parking, as it was absolutely everywhere, which is kind of a shock to see, considering how little we have in North America. But the advantage of a 400-volt is a super fast charge, which means people don't have to stay there for very long. Just wondering if that was going to be included in the charging stations that this vendor would supply.
Mr. Moore?
I believe through the presentation, they advised that it would be a mix of level 2 and level 3 chargers. I'm not, off the top of my head, I don't know what the voltage for that kind of signifies level 3, but I believe a lot of it will have to do with the power supply at that available location. But should they be successful with an application, we can definitely kind of entertain those discussions further and bring that back to committee for review.
Thank you.
Anyone else with a question or a comment? All right, I have a resolution. I haven't read this. I'll read the resolution. Moved by Councillor Kent, seconded by Councillor Burry. Be it resolved that staff be directed to amend the letter of intent to Lakeland Solutions to include support for an application to the EV Charge On program And that upon confirmation of a successful application to the EV Charge On program by Lakeland Solutions, that staff are authorized to negotiate an agreement with said party with terms that are acceptable to the township, including but not limited to finalizing locations, term length, and rent payment. Anybody have any questions about the resolution, comments? Seeing none, I will call the question. All in favor? That carries. Thank you very much. All right. Okay, report from the municipal law enforcement officer. Is this Mr. Pink who's going to speak to this issue? Authorized requester information system.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. The report is fairly self-explanatory. This system, currently the signing authority is the
You need to
director.
put your mic on.
Sorry about that. Thank you. This authorized requester information system, current signing authority is the Director of Public Works. Staff has reviewed that, and for some administrative efficiencies, it's more appropriate that the municipal chief law enforcement officer be that signing authority. Ministry of Transportation requires a resolution approved by council for that. So that resolution is in front of you. Stand for questions.
Anyone with any questions of Director Pink? I'll read a resolution. Moved by. Sorry, just for the end of that. Oh, no problem. Moved by Councillor Mazan, seconded by Councillor Nishikawa. Be it resolved that the Chief Municipal Law Enforcement Officer be delegated signing authority on behalf of the Township of Muskoka Lakes for the administration of the Authorized Requester Information System, or ARIS, Ministry of Transportation MTO program. Any questions, any comments on the resolution? Seeing none, all in favor? And that carries. Thank you very much. Okay, so we're moving now into some of the planning matters. Actually, more than just planning matters. First one, bylaw, what is this, 11A1, relating to fees and charges. Who's speaking to that? Anybody?
I believe.
No? Okay. I'll read a resolution. Moved by Councillor McIntyre, seconded by Councillor Zavitz. Be it resolved that bylaw 2023-109, being a bylaw to establish and require payment of various fees and charges for information services activities and the use of township property, be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed. Any comments? I'll call a question. All in favor? That carries. Thank you very much. Next up is parking bylaw. Is this 11? It is. Parking bylaw amendments. Believe. Okay, again, we have nobody speaking to the issue. I will read a resolution moved by Councillor Burry, seconded by Councillor Nishikawa. Be it resolved that bylaw 2023-111, amend bylaw 2022-43, being a bylaw to regulate and control parking in the corporation of the Township of Muskoka Lakes, be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed. Anybody have any questions, comments? All right, we'll start with Councillor Kent.
I don't have any problem with the change in the bylaw or the edit to the bylaw, but I would like to request that there's an issue at Foots Bay related to a special event, which is the regatta in August. And I think that we should probably, maybe I could ask staff to come back with a little, I would think that maybe there'd be a way of creating a special events exclusion for the Foots Bay Regatta, subject to a plan that was acceptable to the fire and safety people, where there was some parking allowed on the road. As I understand, you know, there's a significant parking problem, obviously, during these special events. I understand these are the rules are the rules, but I think in the event of a major event like the Footsbay Regatta, we could come up with some sort of special events permit that would allow some parking, maybe not both sides of the street, maybe part of the street that was comfortable with the fire department. It would require them coming up with something. Alternatively is to say we'd like to exclude this bylaw from the Footsbay Regatta date. But I think it's probably better to say, let's take it and let's try to fix the problem by coming up with an alternative solution.
Sorry, just before I ask for a response, I want to make sure I understand. Are you proposing that it be done on an event by event basis?
No, well, we have two choices. One way I could suggest that we put an exclusion for August 7th or the date of the annual Footsbay Regatta into the bylaw. My issue with that is, my understanding is the reason why there were a whole bunch of tickets issued this year, and it related to just two issues. One, precedent and the fact that it wasn't in the bylaw, but that's a separate issue. The primary problem was the fact that there was a fire safety issue. And the fire trucks didn't feel they could get down with people parking. And I don't know all the details on both sides of the street. Maybe if we looked at it with Chief Morrell and the bylaw officer, they would come up with a solution that says, well, we can issue a special events permit and allow them parking on one side of the street for that one day a year, which is a special event. I am sure that there are special events permits issued for the Bala Cranberry Festival where the parking gets, they close the whole, well, there's lots of parking everywhere. Well, there's no way to get, okay, let me just give you I don't think there's any way to get in to the Footsbay Regatta if you can't park anywhere near there. You can't park on Highway 169. So I'm just suggesting that could we go look at it?
All right. And I'll ask Mr. Pink, could you pick this up, please?
Thank you. Through you, my understanding is a special event permit was not issued or applied for the regatta for this year. However, I think path forward, I think the amendment to the parking bylaw can be made now. I think we have a lot of time until next year's event, and staff can certainly return with a report. We can investigate either future amendment to the parking bylaw or through the special event permit process in consultation with the fire chief. We can explore potential options for the regatta if that's the wish of council.
Councilor Burry?
I'm not a homer, so if we're going to do it for Footsbay, we need to look at every other potential special event in and around the township that might have a parking problem. It goes farther than Footsbay. There's got to be other places where this is going to be an issue, and maybe we could ask staff. I think bylaws are bylaws, and I just, we can't do something for just one regatta.
Councilor Nishikawa.
Thank you. And much along the same line, but I am a little bit concerned about, well, I believe there does have to be an application process. I'm concerned about what we would be charging these events. Because again, they tend to be a community service, a community event. And I will just even talk about the Regatta and Bala, for instance, like we've got them everywhere, but I'm more concerned about that we would be then being asked to waive those fees. Because every time you apply for anything, there's a fee attached. And so I don't know what that fee is at this moment, but I would be concerned about the people coming forward with those fees. So all I'm saying is I don't want the charges, but I do believe that a special event permit should be applied for, because they need a safety plan attached to each one, right? And so they still need a separate application, but I'm concerned, and I don't know that I'm going to get the answer today about what those charges could be, or would, or maybe nothing. I don't know.
Thank you. You have a follow up?
That would just be an issue for who's ever planning the Footsbay Regatta. But or the Footsbay Regatta committee say, oh, you can't afford the $50 or whatever it costs to get an application put in. Either they want it or they don't. I mean, you can't have it both ways.
All right. Anybody else? Councillor Edwards?
Just had a question. I believe there was some correspondence about parking. Is this the issue that they were sending it in on?
I believe so, yes.
Thank you, and through you. So the bylaw is to establish what is being recommended by staff as to a parking and safety plan for that particular location. Separate from that, we have something called a special event that's looking for some kind of a leniency. And I just want to be sure I was clear on from Director Pink. Can we pass this today? So this is now happening. And separate to that, explore a special event for, because that's really not up for our discussion today. So I'm trying to separate these two. Well, I'm just asking staff if they could just confirm that we could handle that separately at a future point.
Director Pink.
I think through you in essence, yes, but just to add on to that, I think further to Councillor Brewery's points, that road, my understanding, is quite narrow. I'm not implying that our solution will be that there necessarily is a solution, or perhaps a fair point that consistency across the board. But certainly staff's, if that's the wish of council, we can investigate and come back. But I believe the parking bylaw can be amended to reinstate, I think, what were thought to be the parking restrictions there all along. And then we can certainly return with options. If there are options, we would certainly discuss those with Public Works and Emergency Services before returning.
Thank you. And Councillor Kent.
Follow up. Can I just ask a mechanical question? If this parking at Footsbay was not part of the bylaw until we approve it today, how could they have issued tickets back on August 7th, 2023? Are those illegal tickets or are they real tickets?
Through the chair, my understanding, and Mr. Becking may be more familiar, I believe those restrictions were always in the parking bylaw and the signs were signed accordingly. It was only recently discovered that when the last parking bylaw update was done, that area was inadvertently omitted. So now we're correcting that. And if any member of the community was issued a ticket and wishes to discuss that with the bylaw staff, we'll certainly discuss that with them.
As I recall, we did a similar exercise for Bailey Street last month, if I'm not mistaken. So, okay. I see no more. I just have one comment. When parking, I'm assuming that when parking decisions are made, they're mostly motivated by safety, mostly motivated by not access to things, not, there's no sort of beautification exercise here. Let's keep the cars hidden. It's just pure and simple safety.
You mean
And it seems to me that anytime we want to relax the parking standards, we're asking for a lower level of safety to exist. And it also seems to me that the worst possible time to make that apply is the busiest day of the year. If ever you're going to need to negotiate that road with a fire truck or a series of police vehicles or whatever we need to get in there, the biggest challenge will be on the day of, I can't imagine there's a busier day than Regatta. I just can't imagine, but I may be wrong. So I think it would be useful for whoever's applying for the special occasion permit to ask for relief. From my limited perspective, where parking drives safety drives the parking decisions, can't imagine in the circumstances under which we'd be able to walk away feeling good about relaxing the parking provisions. That's all. Anyhow, we're not going to deal with that one today. Somebody wants to come back and challenge on a specific site or event basis. I would think that they would come back in through staff. What we have today is simply the remedial exercise. I've read it, right? So long ago. I've read it. Any further discussion, any comment? I see none. All in favor? Anyone opposed? All right, that carries. Thank you very much. Yeah. All right, what's next? Original shore allowance SNR. Somebody going to speak to that one? Charles going to speak to that one, please.
Good afternoon, Council, and through your worship, the report and related bylaw 2023-120 is for the purposes of stopping up, closing and conveying an original shore road allowance on Severn River.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions on that? All right, seeing none, I'm going to read a resolution. Moved by Councillor Bosenworth, seconded by Councillor Roberts. It's up there, yeah. Be it resolved that the original shore road allowance on Severn River lying in front of concession 20, lot 14 Wood, designated as part 1 on plan 35R-27196 Schnur roll 8-15-065 be declared as surplus land. And that the clerk is hereby instructed to dispose of the said property pursuant to sections 8, 9, and 11 of the Municipal Act 2001. And that bylaw 2023-120 to stop up, close, and convey that portion of original shore road allowance designated as part 1 on 35R-27196 be given 3 readings and passed. Any comments, discussion? I'm seeing nothing, so I'll call the question. All those in favor? That carries. Thank you very much.
This next matter we will hear. I would like to have this read first and then this, so let's get to number 5.
Okay. Going to reorder a little bit here. Number 5 we're going to do is site plan control for Howard. Mr. Soya is coming up, Tobin Island.
Thank you, Your Worship. Good afternoon. This site plan control bylaw is related to zoning bylaw amendment ZBA 4322 in the name of Howard. The purpose of the bylaw is to make a proposed dock and boathouse subject to the site plan control process. And this property is located on Tobin's Island on Lake Rosso. And the zoning bylaw amendment to permit these shoreline structures was recently the subject of a hearing at the Ontario Land Tribunal, where terms of settlement were approved. And through these terms of settlement, the applicant has formally acknowledged the township's authority to pass a bylaw to impose site plan control on the proposed development, to implement the recommendations of a fish habitat assessment. And this bylaw that's before you here today will allow this implementation to occur. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions for Mr. Soya? I see none, so I will read a resolution. Moved by Councillor Nishikawa, seconded by Councillor Roberts. Be it resolved that bylaw 2023-126, being a bylaw to designate site plan control, Howard, part of Lot 8, Concession B, Tobin's Island, Part 1, Plan 35R-20398, Medora, roll number 4-27-068-25, be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed. Anybody with any comments? None. I will call a question. All in favor? And that carries. Thank you very much. Okay, what's up next? Move on to Burnett.
Only 3rd readings.
Oh, okay. Do you have?
And Ms. Walker's.
Oh, there we go. Thank you, Ms. Walker. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Your Worship. In May, Planning Committee heard zoning bylaw amendment ZBA 11/23 bylaw 2023-41 in the name of Susan Burnett in the estate of Marvin Burnett. The subject property is known municipally as 1052 Longhurst Road, Unit 20. Bylaw 2023-041 will have the effect of permitting an existing legal non-complying 2-story boathouse to be 25 feet in height. Planning Committee recommended that 3rd reading be withheld until a revegetation plan is submitted and the revegetation completed to the satisfaction of the township. In June, Council gave bylaw 2023-041 first and second reading. The applicants have now revegetated the shoreline to the satisfaction of township staff, and bylaw 2023-041 is in front of council for its 3rd and final reading today. I have no further comments, but I'm happy to assist council with any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Good job. Anyone with any questions? Councillor Roberts, is your hand up? No. Okay, never mind. All right, I'll read a resolution moved by Councillor Edwards, seconded by Councillor Bosenworth. Be it resolved that bylaw 2023-041, Barnett and Estate of Marvin Barnett, roll number 3-1-063, be read a third time and finally passed. Any question, any comment? All in favor? And that carries. Thank you very much. No. Ms. Crowder, there we go. Welcome. You're going to talk about Hobbs, is that correct?
Yes, it is. Thank you, Mayor Kelley. Zoning bylaw amendment application ZBA 2423, bylaw 2023-105 in the name of Hobbs was heard by Planning Committee on October 12th, 2023. Committee made a recommendation to council that the application be approved, subject to third reading being withheld until such time as all buildings and structures located on an open original road allowance be removed or relocated onto the subject property in compliance with applicable zoning provisions. Since the October Planning Committee meeting and now, the applicants have removed the structures from the road allowance and relocated them onto the property in compliance with zoning standards. Therefore, staff recommend that third reading be given today. Staff have no further comments, but are happy to assist council with any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Crowder? No, seeing none. Okay, I'll read a resolution. Moved by Councillor Bosenworth, seconded by Councillor Mazan. Be resolved that bylaw 2023-105 to amend comprehensive zoning bylaw 2014-14 Hobbs, roll number 2-23-090 be read a first and second time. Any questions or comments? All in favor? That carries. Thank you very much. And then moved by Councillor Kent, seconded by Councillor Nishikawa, be it resolved that bylaw 2023-105 Hobbs, roll number 2-23-090 be read a third time and finally passed. Any questions or comments? All in favor? And that carries. Thank you. Got one.
B3. Application, Emily.
Oh, Emily's speaking this one too. Okay, good. Thank you. Carry on.
Thank you, Mayor Kelley. Zoning bylaw amendment application ZBA 2722, bylaw 2022-099 in the name of Young was last heard by Planning Committee on February 16th, 2023. Planning Committee has recommended to council that the application be approved, subject to third reading of bylaw 2022-099 being withheld until the area of fill is removed and restored to its pre-development condition in accordance with the recommendations of a qualified professional, and that a minor amendment be approved to restrict shoreline structure development to the proposed development envelopes as shown on Schedule 2 to bylaw 2022-099. Since the Planning Committee meeting in February, the area of fill has been removed. Therefore, staff recommend that third reading not be withheld and that the application be approved with the aforementioned minor amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody with any questions for Ms. Crowder on this? No? Seeing none, I'll read a resolution. Moved by Councillor Zabitz, seconded by Councillor Burry. Be it resolved that bylaw 2022-099 to amend comprehensive zoning bylaw 2014-14 Young, roll number 4-11-079 be read a first and second time. Any comments? Call the question. All in favor? This carries. Thank you very much. Minor amendment is moved by Councillor Mazan, seconded by Councillor Bosenworth. Be it resolved, the Township Council amend bylaw 2022-099 Young, roll number 4-11-079, and these amendments are minor in nature and do not require further public circulation and are hereby approved prior to third reading. The amendments shall consist of restricting shoreline structure development to the proposed development envelopes as shown on Schedule 2 to bylaw 2022-099. Any comments, feedback? All in favor? And that carries. Thank you.
That's third reading.
And now finally, same matter, moved by Councillor Nishikawa, seconded by Councillor McIntyre. Be it resolved that bylaw 2022-099 Young, roll number 4-11-079 be read a third time and finally passed. Any comments? All right, all in favor? Thank you very much. That carries.
Can't keep that arm down. Sorry.
Mr. Sawyer.
All excited there.
Welcome back, Mr. Soya. You're going to talk to us about Baker Nelson.
Thank you. So last month, Planning Committee recommended to Council that ZBA -30/22 bylaw 2022-120 in the name of Baker Nelson be defeated. The purpose of this application is to rezone a portion of this vacant property from the private open space zone to the rural RU2 zone in order to permit residential development. The application was originally deferred by Planning Committee back in October of 2022. And at that time, committee requested that the applicant submit a scoped environmental impact study and that building envelopes be flagged on site, and that applicants confirm they agree to a restriction to the permitted uses on site. After the EIS was completed and these confirmations were received, the application returned to committee last month. And due to concerns related to conformity with official plan policies, primarily related to 2 tiers of development in the waterfront designation and a noted potential for the application to set a precedent, staff have continued to recommend the approval of the zoning amendment be denied. And as I've stated, committee recommended that the application be denied. I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Soya. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Soya while he's standing there? No? All right, I'm going to read the resolution. And then we'll clarify. Yes, we will. Moved by Councillor Roberts, seconded by Councillor Burry. Be it resolved that bylaw 2022-120 to amend comprehensive zoning bylaw 2014-14, Baker and Nelson, roll number 6-7-112 be read a first and second time. For clarification, the recommendation of planning staff is decline. And this is structured so that if we vote yes.
If you vote yes, then there is a minor amendment to be heard and then third reading. However, committee recommended denial.
So, okay.
Defeated the resolution.
So in order to fulfill that, it's not to vote yes. Okay. Anybody else have any other questions? All right. I'm going to call the question then. All in favor? All opposed? That is defeated. Thank you. So we don't need to go ahead. Okay, thank you. Move on to the next one. Ms. Crowder's back. And this is this, are we doing Evans now?
That's correct.
Okay, we'll do Evans now. Welcome, I'm back.
Thank you, Mayor Kelley. Zoning bylaw amendment application ZBA 2622 amended bylaw 2022-094 in the name of Evans was heard last by Planning Committee on October 12th, 2023. Planning Committee has recommended to Council that exemptions B and C to permit the reconstruction of a single-story boathouse and dock to exceed maximum permitted length be approved, subject to the approved development being made subject to site plan control to implement the environmental impact study, and further recommended that exemption A to permit the reconstruction of a single-story boathouse and dock on an undersized lot and the reconstruction and enlargement of a dwelling on an undersized lot, and exemption D to permit the installation of a new leaching bed distribution pipe within 100 feet of the high water mark both be denied. To act on planning committee's recommendation, first and second reading of the bylaw would be given. Then prior to third reading, amendments to remove and deny exemptions A and D will be made. Then third reading will be given, which will only include exemptions B and C. Staff have no further comments, but are happy to assist council with any questions. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Councillor Kent, do you have a question?
Yeah, I don't know. We've seen now 4 lawyer letters from this guy's lawyer, and we keep bringing back, if I get this right, A and C, the 2 that are the problems for the small Harry Island piece. Why are we bringing it back if the lawyers asked us 4 times to not bring it back? We keep, and he just sent us another link saying, I very respectfully, I keep asking, and it makes no sense to me why we are bringing it back at all. Why don't we just put it on hold and wait till the Ontario Line Tribunal thing is over?
Thank you. And I'm going to actually ask Director Pink to take that.
Thank you. Through you. I believe council can, if they wish, withhold, and that I wouldn't say is entirely uncommon. We can put in advance, but to clarify, they have not appealed anything to the OLT. The matter is obviously live. They've appealed a lack of issuance of a building permit to Superior Court. And the concern is one, that could take a lengthy period of time. And in my opinion, if they're not successful in that avenue, rather than amending an application that in my opinion would be largely stale. I think it was submitted and heard the public meeting by a previous term of council and may not come back for a year or 2 from now. I would rather see a fresh set of applications against the current official plan policies as opposed to, again, amending a historical application submitted against an older set of official plan policies. So that's largely the reason. I think there are other technical details. The way the application has been currently made, we're of the opinion it's not applying for the appropriate relief. They're looking to expand a dwelling, and staff's of the opinion there is no dwelling on the property, and they have yet to amend their application accordingly. We're also of the opinion that an official plan amendment would be required in order to make the application that they seek, and they have yet to do that. So on that basis, I don't think it's overly onerous. They've chosen their position that they feel they're entitled to a building permit, and if they're successful, they've acknowledged they would drop this application. So in my opinion, they've chosen that path and let that process play out. Should they not be successful, they can make a fresh application at that time and be subject to current official plan policies, is my opinion. But again, certainly if council wishes to keep this in advance, we can do that.
Thank you, Director Pink. Yes, Councillor Kent.
My only, and I have no interest of any sort in this matter. It just seems that when lawyer letters keeps coming and asking us respectfully to do something, at least we owe the lawyer a call back to explain to him why we're doing this, because he keeps sending us letters. Well, I think we should at least have a conversation. Anyway, I just think that's proper business.
Okay. Anybody have anything to say other than lawyers' letters?
I actually am looking for clarification. I'm just going off of my notes from the last planning meeting, and my understanding of what we're doing now is ratifying what the last planning meeting, that's what we're supposed to do at council, is ratify at the planning meeting. And I have a note that the single boathouse was approved, but I have also denied. So that's why I just wanted to clarify there wasn't, right? So I just need that clarification of what.
Ms. Crowder, can you please?
Through you, Mayor Kelley. Yes, so the planning committee meeting, the exemptions were brought forward, and committee has made this recommendation to council to essentially approve the exemptions related in the redevelopment of a single-story boathouse and dock. But that has not been approved yet. That would be approved today at today's meeting. And they've made this recommendation to deny and remove the exemptions related to the development of a dwelling on land and the septic system on land.
Thank you for that. Any other questions or comments? Councillor Edwards.
Just so everyone's clear, can we go over A and D and B and C again? Are we turning some down? We're putting after other applications. It would be nice to have it completely clarified what we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think that's wise. I think this isn't as straightforward as just a straight up and down. So I don't want to wind up tomorrow with realizing we've voted contrary to what we thought we were doing. One more time, please.
Sure, no problem. Through you, Mayor Kelley. So the to implement Planning Committee's recommendation, first and second reading of the bylaw would be given today. And then prior to third reading, exemptions or minor amendments to remove exemptions A and D will be made to the bylaw. And then third reading would be given, which would essentially approve exemptions B and C. And A and D would be removed, which are the exemptions for construction of the dwelling on land and the septic system. Does that answer? Okay.
So just again, one more time for
It's 2
me.
readings, yeah.
Not one more time. They're all framed in the affirmative. If we vote in the affirmative, we first approve it first and second time. The second one, we approve the removal of certain exceptions. And then the third resolution is to approve the whole thing with the exceptions pulled. Okay.
That is correct. Yes.
Okay. All right. I think I've got that. Anyone else got any more questions? All right. I'm going to read the first resolution. This is it. Yeah. Moved by Councillor Mazan, seconded by Councillor Zavitz. Be it resolved that bylaw 2022-094 to amend comprehensive zoning bylaw 2014-14 Evans, roll number 4-25-024-06 be read a first and second time. Any questions? I'll call the question. All in favor? All right. Anyone opposed? No, that's carries. Thank you very much. I see that. One moment and I'll do that one. Carried. Councillor Bosenworth, I see your hand is up, or it was. I can't see it.
By mistake.
Yeah.
All right. The second resolution on this matter, moved by Councillor Kent, seconded by Councillor Roberts. Be it resolved the Township Council amend bylaw 2022-094 Evans, roll number 4-25-024-06. And these amendments are minor in nature and do not require further public circulation and are hereby approved prior to third reading. The amendments shall consist of the removal/denial of exemption A to permit the reconstruction of a single-story boathouse and dock on an undersized lot, and the reconstruction and enlargement of a dwelling on an undersized lot. And the second one is the removal/denial of exemption D to permit the installation of a new leaching bed distribution pipe within 100 feet of the high water mark. Anybody with any questions? Any comments? I'll call the question. All in favor? All right. Anyone opposed? No, I don't see anybody opposed. Thank you. That carries. Okay, finally, moved by Councillor Edwards, seconded by Councillor Burry. Be it resolved that bylaw 2022-094 Evans, roll number 4-25-024-06 be read a third time and finally passed. Any questions? Comments? All in favor? That carries. Thank you.
Now we go back to reading the site plan control matter that was earlier.
And Ms. Carter's
Here.
going to do that one too. I'm sorry. Yeah,
So
that's
do
your
we-
sheet. Okay, so now we're going to go back to,
So Ms. Crowder will-
yeah, Ms. Carter's going to speak to what was on earlier on 11A4. We skipped over it intentionally. You're going to talk us through it now, please.
Thank you, Mayor Kelley. So the site plan control bylaw in front of you today is to implement the environmental impact study for the subject property, Harry Island, and to implement the recommendations from that study in relation to the development of the single-story boathouse and dock.
Oops, thank you very much for that. Anybody with any questions for Ms. Crowder? Seeing none, I'll read a resolution. Moved by Councillor Mazan, seconded by Councillor Edwards. Edwards, be it resolved that bylaw 2023-124, being a bylaw to designate site plan control, Evans, Island Harry, Lake Joseph, Part 6, Plan 35R-14682, and Part 1, Plan 35R-22258, Medora, 4-25-024-06, be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed. Anybody with any questions, any comments? All right, I'll call the question. All in favor? And anyone opposed? No, it's all there. Thank you. It carries. Bring us to the end of.
Getting close.
Oh, yeah. Well shared. Okay, so we literally are done, right? Haven't skipped anything else? Okay,
That's coming.
it's in,
Hey,
oh, that's this one right here.
yes.
Okay, sorry, I thought we
Yeah.
were suggesting we were done. Key Wellman,
Oh,
I didn't know. I missed this one. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Kelley. Concurrent consent and zoning bylaw amendment applications B3223 ML and ZBA 2323 bylaw 2023-104 in the name of Key Wellman were heard by Planning Committee on October 12th, 2023. The consent portion of this application was approved earlier in this meeting. Planning Committee recommended to Council that the zoning bylaw amendment be approved. A request for the return of application fees was submitted by the applicant. Planning Committee asked staff to investigate this request and make a recommendation to Council at this meeting. It appears that the applicant had a lawyer representing their interests at the time the land swap occurred, and unfortunately, that lawyer missed that the land swap would break the previously granted consent, resulting in the merger. Staff do not take the position that this was fault of the township and therefore do not request that the fees be returned. Staff have no further comments at this time and are happy to assist Council with any questions. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Anyone with questions for Ms. Crowder? Councillor Nishikawa. Okay, I'll read a resolution and then we can go to comments. Moved by Councillor Nishikawa, seconded by Councillor McIntyre. Be it resolved that bylaw 2023-171 to amend comprehensive zoning bylaw 2014-14, Key Wellman, roll number 7-1-008-03, 7-1-008-04, be read a first and second time. And now, Councillor Nishikawa, you have a comment?
Thank you. I actually want to speak on a bigger note that I'd like going forward, even today, when a property owner is willing to give their land to the Conservancy, and this in this particular case, it is a much added benefit to the community. You know, the costs of doing this is pretty great, and in this particular applicant's case, I would suggest that it's an expensive cost that may not be beneficial for her in particular, but I just feel that we should have a different policy when it does come to the Conservancy and the good work that people are trying to do in protecting our environment.
Thank you for that. Anyone else with a question or comment? Councillor Edwards.
Yes, I can remember this application years ago when it came through. We basically realigned the road so the snowmobile trail wouldn't go by this applicant's house. And her lawyer should have picked it up at that time. And it has been circulated and so I could agree with staff on that. It wasn't their fault. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions, comments? All right, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, that carries. Thank you. Okay, same one, same issue. Moved by Councillor Burry, seconded by Councillor Zavitz. Be it resolved that bylaw 2023-171, Key Wellman, roll number 7-1-008-03, 7-1-008-04, be read a third time and finally passed. Any questions or comments? All in favor? And that carries. Thank you. All right. Next up is a resolution to move to closed, moved by Councillor McIntyre, seconded by Councillor Burry. Be it resolved, the council in closed session convene at
2:07
2:07
PM.
PM for A, sub B, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. Report CAO-2023-02, confidential report from the Chief Administrative Officer. B, sub C, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board. That's report PW-2023-076, property acquisition. And C, sub E, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals. And that includes OLT Appeal Report Plan 2023-192 and OLT Appeal -OPA 56. So who's in favor of going into closed? All in favor? Thank you. We're in closed. Thank you.
If we could take 5 minutes.
Yeah, we'll take 5 minutes and reset. Yeah, that would be good. Oh, I didn't mark that as carried. Carried. You taking notes?